Okay. And I'm going to share the screen. So we're going to just start with simply reading Job. The English, of course, first. And we'll just read first few verses, okay, so that we understand the premises. So would anyone like to read first the 5 verses, please?
I'll read because that wasn't me with the echo. So
Wasn't it? Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah, there's no echo now. Okay, go ahead, Ilana.
Okay. There was a man in the land of Uz named Job. The man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil.
Keep going.
7 sons and 3 daughters were born to him. His possessions were 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and very large household. That man was wealthier than anyone in the East. It was a custom of his sons to hold feasts, each on his set day in his own home. They would invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. When a round of feast days was over, Job would send word to them to sanctify themselves, and rising early in the morning, he would make burnt offerings, 1 for each of them. For Job thought, perhaps my children have sinned and blasphemed God in their thoughts. This is what Job always used to do. One day,
keep going.
One day the divine beings presented themselves before the Lord, and the adversary came along with them. The Lord said to the adversary, "Where have you been?" The adversary answered the Lord, "I have been roaming all over the earth." The Lord said to the adversary, "Have you noticed my servant Job? There is no one like him on earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and shuns evil." The adversary answered the Lord, "Does Job not have good reason to fear God? Why, it is you who have fenced him round, him and his household and all that he has. You have blessed his efforts so that his possessions spread out in the land. But lay your hand upon all that he has, and he will surely blaspheme you to your face." The Lord replied to the adversary, "See all that he was in your power, only do not lay a hand on him." The adversary departed from the presence of the Lord.
Okay, so what's the premises here? What's the premises?
That his life was too good. He had nothing to be scared of.
Well, it's a battle or a bet or a wager between 2 superpowers, God. And I have an old, and it's a Hebrew Bible, and I found it kind of interesting because I remember reading this way back in Sunday school, I think. The adversary is referred to as Satan.
Well, it is. That's right. So, right. The word for adversary in Hebrew is Satan.
Okay.
Right? Now, Ilana will help me. So Satan can be translated as devil, and and Ilana, how else would we translate Satan?
Accuser.
It's a devil.
It's a devil. That's what I said. So, Satan is like the negative power, right? So
Satan. Well, we can call him Satan.
Yeah. Right.
One comment I saw translated it as possibly the accuser.
Accuser. Okay. In this context, but Satan really means devil. And now,
well, he's a tempter. I don't know if he's an accuser.
That's another, right. Yeah. So we have Job, who actually believes in the God, even though he's not Jewish. He believes in one God, and he does everything right by God. But his life is pretty good, right? his children are grown up and he has plenty, and he believes in God, but it's as Satan says, well, it's easy for him to believe in you and be devoted to you when everything is good in his life, but try and take things away from him, right? Satan challenges God. Try and take away things from him and then see what happens. And then what does God do?
He takes things away from him.
No, but what does God do? What does he reply to Satan? That
Do your worst. My guy is going to stick by me.
And,
Right.
and don't hurt him physically.
it's like a bet. I mean,
Yep.
God is entering a bet with Satan, right?
Mhm.
Now we're going to take things a little bit more in detail. So
Can I
let's.
just ask how you know that he is not Jewish and that, he's a,
Oh, by
obviously-
his name and where he's from.
okay.
Yeah. So, okay, so we're going to read again verse 1, and then we'll have the commentary. So we'll have, like I
I
said,
have a question.
a little deeper look on this. Yep.
I have a question. If
Yes.
he is not part of the so-called Jewish community, how did the concept of one God infiltrate to where he was? How did people not just have their idols and some chose having one God?
That's fine.
That I cannot tell you because, I mean, just like why do people choose to convert to Judaism, even though if
I
they
mean, even the concept.
even if they rise, even if they've been raised as Christians. I just recently had an inquiry. Someone inquired, not married to a Jew, just felt all the life that he feels more comfortable. So same thing, I think. People people anywhere. So probably with job, he felt more comfortable with believing in our God, in one God.
Yeah, 'cause I didn't kind of figured you wouldn't have an answer, but it just seems odd to me that that concept even infiltrated the rest of the area.
Right. But that's why we have the book of Job, is because partly is because we want to see the story of this man who is even not Jewish. He's so devoted to God. Even more so is important to study him, right? Because he's shown an amazing devotion.
The Jew by choice.
In most pantheons, there was a chief god, usually. So if you were suffering either good or suffering bad, you could maybe argue or blame Zeus in particular, or whoever is the main god of the area. So it's not even necessarily he is a monotheist, but he's a main guy.
Oh, okay.
In whichever
Well.
other stories there are, and there were a number of them extant in the area, because it's talking about the coexistence of a good God and why evil.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of it.
Okay, I presume that this is written or into the Jewish Bible. Where do these other divine beings and Satan come from? When were they created?
Wait, can you say the question again? I'm
Right.
sorry. Bob, can you repeat yourself? I'm sorry.
Oh, yes. Okay. When were these other divine beings and Satan created? We read a creation story and all the animals, the fishes, the man, but nothing about assistant divine beings.
Because they're pre-existed.
When?
Well, there is no when. The world, we read about the creation of the world, but there is no say on when God was.
Well, isn't
God is eternal. God is always has been and always will be. So we don't assume that God was created by anyone. God is something that has been and will always be.
Isn't, and I've heard this in Christian theology, Satan considered a fallen angel? You know, that there were angels and there was God, again, from pre-existence of the world and people, but that Satan, and I don't know what the Jewish take on that is, but certainly I've heard that in in a Christian sense.
Well, in the Christian sense, they believe that when there is a good, there is a bad, and they always coexist, and there's always battle between the good and the bad.
Right. And Satan was an angel that fell from grace.
Yeah,
Lucifer, the light bearer.
that's the Christian belief. Okay, can
Okay.
we get back to Job? So, verse 1 again. Claudia, you want to read that one?
Which there was a man in the land of Uz named Job. That man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil.
And that's and that's exactly what we want from to strive to believe in good and do good and fear God and avoid to do all that is harmful. Okay, so Rashi on Job.
A man in the land of Uz, meaning in the land of Aram, as it is written, Uz, the firstborn, who was of the children of Nahor, who was from Aram.
So it's sort of like the indication that she was not Jewish. Oh, somebody turned on something. I hear echo again. Okay, let's do the Talmud now, from the Talmud. How about Ellen?
Okay. Rav says Job lived.
Rabbi is the name of one of the name of the rabbi, sage, Rava.
Rava says Job lived at the time of the spies whom Moses sent to scout the land of Canaan. This is proven by the fact that it is written here. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and it is written that there in the account of the spies, whether there are trees in it. The Gemara says it is comparable. Here the word.
Gemara asks, is it comparable?
Oh, the Gemara asks, is it comparable? Here the word that is used is utz, whereas the other words is eitz.
The word etz is a tree, right? So there is a similar sound to the utz and etz.
Mm-hmm. The Gemara asks, this is what Moses said to Israel.
No, the Gemara asks.
Answers.
Yes.
Okay, Ellen can't read. This is what Moses said to Israel, that i.e., to the spies, is that man named Job still alive? He whose years are as long as the years of a tree, and who protects his generation like a tree? This is why the allusion to him here is through the word eitz rather than word utz.
So this is actually a beautiful comparison, right? So we have the Job as a righteous man, and he's compared in this passage with etz. And for Jews, of course, etz has association with something holy and something rightful, right? Because we call Torah the etz. Uh-oh, someone turned something. Okay. Better. No.
Everybody again.
All the better we hear you twice.
Yeah. Bob, can you turn off your sound?
Turn it off. Let's see.
Mute yourself.
Mute yourself.
I just did.
Now I'm muted.
No, you're not. Okay.
It's better.
Yeah, I think it's better. So the Etz Haim is the Torah. It's another name for the Torah scroll because it's held on those poles, right, that are of the tree. And the tree is nourishing, and the tree has sort of like a life of its own. And so it's beautiful comparison here, I think, that the Tanakh, the Talmud is making between Job and the tree. So we are now skipping to verse 5, and we're going to read again verse 5 and 6. So Judy, would you like to read?
Sure. When a round of feast days was over, Job would send word to them to sanctify themselves, and rising early in the morning, he would make burnt offerings, one for each of them. For Job thought, perhaps my children have sinned and blasphemed God in their thoughts. This is what Job always used to do. One day the divine...
Oh, wait, hold on one second. So it's interesting, not only he wanted to make sure that he comes as a good person before God. He comes as devoted to God and someone who fears God. He also wanted to make sure, right, that all his household and his children are too clean of any sin. God forbid that there's something, so he would make the sacrifice. So he was very conscientious, and not only as how he appears himself, but also his children, which is, I think, a very important fact. Okay, go ahead with the 6.
One day the divine beings presented themselves before the Lord, and the adversary came along with them.
So that's, by the way, interesting fact, right? Why would Satan come along with Malachim, with the angels? Claudia, you want to read Bava Batra?
Having mentioned the book of Job, the Gemara addresses several matters relating to it. It is stated, now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and the Satan came also among them. And the Lord said to the Satan, from where do you come? And the Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth and from walking through it.
So it's like, I'm just, passing by. I was just wandering, passing by, and I came. Okay.
Isn't it interesting that they're referring to the angels as the sons of God?
Yeah.
Satan gets a definite article. Thus Satan said to God, not Satan said to the God. It makes it sound almost as though it's an office or his duty among it.
Hold on, let me see.
Maybe there's a batch of them and he's the one who gets to argue.
Yeah, Ha-Satan, it's the definite article in Hebrew as well. Right here, Ha-Satan.
Yep.
And it does say, Vayavo b'nei ha-Elohim. You're right, Arlene. It says, b'nei ha-Elohim, the children of God. But I think it's just, we are called the children of God. So are the Malachim. I mean, why wouldn't the angels be children of God if humans are children of God, right? Aren't we supposed to be?
But in earlier concepts of God, God was seen as, and traditionally in that area anyway, Northern Semites, like other Northwest Semitic peoples, Jewish kind of believed in God as having a wife and children and living in this big place with a lot of followers around, like a king or an emperor in their time, because that was a concept they could understand, and they put God just bigger and better and heavenly.
Does it imply that Satan is son of God also?
No, because it says the opposite, actually differentiates. It says, Ilana, look at the Hebrew. Vayavo b'nei ha-Elohim, yidatzef al Adonai, vayavo gam ha-Satan. So the children of God came, and the Satan. So it's children separate from Satan.
I have a question as far as Satan goes. I've always been taught that Jews don't go to hell, that we don't go to Satan when we pass away.
There's no hell in the concept of, you know, how Christians depict it as a pit where there is a constant fire and you're being burned for eternity. No, there's no such thing.
So what is Gehinnom?
That's a good question that I've been asking myself. Gehinnom is
Hell.
it's called hell, but yes, and of course Christians derive some of their ideas, right, based on the concepts that we have. So it is called hell, but it's not yet I think it's
wasn't there in the valley of Gehinnom a place where there were fires, maybe something from inner earth, or some of the petroleum products were on fire and there was a kind of burning and smoke?
Right, but
and it was generalized into a place of punishment?
Right, no, but
or temporary punishment anyway.
But there is no nowhere in theology, in Jewish theology, that says that if you're not being a good person on earth and you have sinned, you're gonna end up in Gehinnom. We don't have such concept. Have you ever?
I was with a study group and they wanted to know, do Jews believe in heaven and hell? So it's a while ago that I did it, but as far as I remember, I researched and talked to people and called different rabbis, and the answer was, do Jews believe in heaven and hell? Is, as with most things Jewish, yes, no, and maybe. But mostly they don't believe in this lovely Christian concept of an eternal punishment.
Exactly.
Infinite punishment for finite sins.
Okay.
You might go long enough to be singed, to become aware of how far you failed, and then eventually almost everyone gets to end up in paradise with God, or separated from God, which was a punishment for the really awful people among them. Not a punishment, but a separation.
So in other words, Claudia, you just confirmed what I said. In other words, there is no concept of if you have been sinning during your lifetime, you are going to get to hell or Gehinnom. There is no such thing.
And can I just make another comment? It's just, I've been reading a book about India and the Far East, and they all burn their dead rather than bury them. And I was wondering if there's any kind of relationship
No.
or not.
Every culture has different customs about the burial. You know that in Judaism, the person goes back to the ground from, you know, where it supposedly came from. And in Israel, you don't have a casket. You're wrapped in the savan, in a shroud. That's it. There's no casket.
Wow.
You're buried in a shroud. Yeah.
Sorry.
How about when Aaron's sons bring the incorrect fire and the earth opens and they go down to Shoel? What are we translating that as?
Shoel is the Shoel is the world of the death, of the dead.
Okay, I have some questions here where God says to Satan, "From where do you come?" Now, God is supposed to know all this, and there are a couple areas where he asks, "Where were you?" to Cain, I think. And let me pose just one other question, and then talk about it. He said he has gone to and fro in the earth and was walking through it. Usually when there are two things that sound the same, rabbis have made some kind of meaning as why it's repeated. Do we have something like that there? And I'll I'll remute myself.
I don't think I understand your question, Bob.
It's repeated twice. Going to and
Right.
fro and walking.
It's
Right.
like lawyer talk.
Okay, so Hasatan in Tavo in Hasatan. Okay, so hold on.
I'm wandering. Just
Can I,
strolling
while you're
around.
looking through that, Rabbi, can I make a comment about the heaven is
Hold on, let me just figure out what Bob was trying to say. But for your first question was whether doesn't God know where and he comes. I think it was rhetoric. I think the God's question here is rhetoric. Okay.
I was wondering if Bob was asking, how come God doesn't know, since he's all knowing? Why doesn't he know where Satan?
That's what Ellen. That's what I
Rhetorical.
said. It was a rhetoric question. God does know. It was a rhetoric question. Judy, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say what I was thinking is, and it's one of these hard things to articulate, but I think what kind of came to my mind is if we believe as, Jews, that our spirit, soul is still always alive,
Yes.
even though our body unfortunately is gone.
Right.
I kind of was thinking, well, maybe if somebody has been, done wrong and not been a good person and would not go quote unquote into hell, but be not a restful spirit, not have a restful soul, and sort of that sort of concept. Does that kind of make any sense?
Yeah, actually, you are correct. In Judaism, we do have this concept that the soul is like a separate entity. And when a person dies, the body is no longer functioning, but the soul separates from the body and is hovering somewhere in between. And so if a person had, some difficulties and, didn't follow whatever the good path, then the soul will be not restful. So you're correct. Yes, but it's not like, in the Christian concept, going back, they literally have these images of a person, right? It's not just the soul. They have like the image of the body as if it's like a resurrected person.
Right.
That is either going down to hell and burns there for eternity, or up to heaven. So it's like, what was the movie? The Ghost, right? How we see the image of not just the soul, but a whole person detaches from the physical person, right? That's the Christianity sort of, I think. Yeah, in Judaism, we don't have that concept.
In fact, that kind of bothers me personally, because when you hear people, Christians, well, I'm going to be in heaven with whoever, some loved one. I guess that's just comforting to them. I'm sorry?
Jews say it too. Jews say it as well.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I guess I haven't heard that as much, but it's just, to me, it's kind of like, well, I guess it's comforting, but maybe is it in reverse, not comforting if someone's like, okay, well, I guess I haven't been good, so I'm not going to be up with my loved ones. I'm not going to be joining them. I don't know. It's interesting concept, I guess. But
yeah. All right, you guys are taking me like way far from where I wanted to lead our discussion. We went completely like off rails where I didn't think we would go, but it's okay. It's all good. It's a learning process, and we're discovering other things.
It's very Jewish.
It's
that's right.
That's the beauty of the whole exercise.
Yes, that's true.
As long as we don't go backwards.
Let's go back to Bava Batra. Where were we?
The Satan said to God, Master of the universe, I have gone to and fro throughout the entire world, and I have not found anyone as faithful as your servant Abraham, to whom you said, Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for I will give it to you. And even so, when he did not find a place to bury Sarah before he purchased a burial site for 400 silver shekels, he did not find fault with your ways or complain about the fact that you had failed to fulfill your promise.
Interesting. So you see what Talmud is doing here? They're like, bringing back Abraham. Wasn't Abraham the one that supposedly Satan is saying? Remember Abraham, your devoted servant? Like, what happened to Abraham? Why all of a sudden you were favoring Job, right? Is that how you read it too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now Job, I say Job, Job verse 7. So who didn't read yet? How about Arlene? Arlene, you want to read? Can you? Or is it difficult? Wait, you need to unmute yourself. Still muted. Arlene, you're still muted.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear.
Okay. The Lord said to the adversary, "Where have you been?" The adversary answered the Lord, "I have been roaming all over the earth."
So this is going back to the question. Okay, well, like, where was he? Bob brought it up. Okay, keep going. We're gonna read from Yoma.
The Gemara continues its discussion of the river that will in the future come out of the Holy of Holies. Rabbi Yehuda ben Pazi said, "Even the angel of death does not have permission to pass through it to the other side of this river." And proof of this is in the verse, as it is written here. No galley with oars can travel. And as it was written there, then Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro the earth, and from walking up and down in it, even Satan, who is also the angel of death, cannot cross through this river."
So in a way, it also answers Bob's question. So yeah, God knows, of course, where Satan is coming from and going to, but there is one place where this river that he cannot cross. In other words, the holiest place Satan cannot get to.
I didn't realize that Satan and the angel of death were the same being.
As it presents in this text, it is. We don't, yeah. Ilana, what do you think?
I was thinking about the same thing. Death is part of life. You need an angel, I guess, to help you go through. So you don't like to see him, but when your time is come, your time is come. So I've never heard that Malach HaMavet is Satan, but I don't know.
Well, it's not. It's not it's not necessarily exactly the concept, because it doesn't mean. I mean, if one of the rabbis suggests that in Talmud, doesn't mean that that's how it is. It's just, this is hypothesis.
In this text, it is.
It's a hypothesis of one of the rabbis. It doesn't mean that that's what it is. Doesn't mean that's how it is in theology. I think that in theology, we are differentiating between, Ilana is right, between Malach HaMavet and the angel of death and Satan. Certainly not in my understanding they are together, but I brought this text because I thought it was interesting.
So this is just the opinion of this rabbi.
Yes.
But there's also, death can be a metaphor and a separation. When we read, if you don't follow certain mitzvot, you're cut off. It doesn't have to be physical death. It could be, more in a spiritual sense.
Right. So
Sometimes I
In
think
other
this was, go ahead.
No, in other words, in this passage, coming from and going to, passing through the earth, but this passage proves that not necessarily all the places where Satan can be in. There is a place where even the angel of death doesn't have the capacity to reach. In other words, like the sanctuary where the death cannot occur. So certainly angel of death cannot reach there. So Satan cannot reach there either. So it doesn't mean that Satan can be absolutely everywhere. Only God can. Make sense?
So where is it that he can go?
According to this passage,
River.
according to this passage, a certain place that is outside of that is divided by the river, that it has become like a sanctuary for even where the angel of death can't reach. So in other words, actually, as I read it, is sort of like a heaven. You know, it's where there is no death. If angel of death can't reach that place, that means there's no death. And in heaven, there's certainly no death in heaven. So I think it's a reference to heaven.
But does that mean that but that if we die, that we can pass over into, or our souls can pass over?
No, it doesn't mean that.
Our souls can.
I think it
The
means,
angel of death can't.
I think it means that when you're in heaven, you cannot die again.
Way to put it. It's interesting that they use the river too, because that is a sign of life, ancient sign of life, water. Right.
Again, going back to the soul, the souls don't. It's a very shady, really, concept in Judaism. No one really can tell you. No rabbi can tell you exactly, honestly. But my understanding is that the soul is hovering somewhere until Messiah comes. So we're all, after we die, all of our souls are hovering somewhere until, again, that's based on the Orthodox belief, until Messiah comes, and that's when the judgment day, and then when the fate of our souls are decided. But until then, we're all of our souls will be hovering after.
And what are the options?
That's it. No options.
No, on Judgment Day, what are the options? The souls.
On Judgment Day, well, Ilana, you tell me. It's everyone will come out of the graves. I mean, do we believe in that? That on Judgment Day, everyone will come out of the grave, and that's why it's everyone wants to be buried in Har on the Olive Mount, right? Where's
Mount of Olives?
Mount Olive.
Olives.
The closer to Beit HaMikdash, the temple. But all over the world, the Jews will be, revived and come out and stand before God on the Judgment Day. Not exactly the concept that I think Reform believe in. Look, for Christians it's easier, right? Like heaven, hell, and I'll meet your dad in heaven or whatever. It's we don't have that. So it's very vague, and I don't think anyone.
What is the world to come? Ha'olam haba? Is that
What? Say it again.
the world to come? The Ha'olam haba?
I think it's after the Messiah.
After Messiah?
After Messiah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a good place.
Well, yeah, that's why we're all waiting for Messiah. Mashiach, Mashiach, Mashiach. Ay, 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 ay.
Don't we pray for that in the Elenu prayer?
Bimhera b'yameinu. Soon in our time. All the Orthodox Jews pray, right? Bimhera b'yameinu.
sort of like the Garden of Eden again, only in heaven.
Yes.
But isn't the Elena prayer basically has that theme to it? That, you know, we are looking for that day when we are united with God, all in one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Verse 8, who didn't go yet? Let me see. Judy, who is here with us for the first time, why don't you take verse 8?
I would love to, but I'm having a vision issue.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Marsha.
Okay. The Lord said to the adversary, have you noticed my servant Job? There is no one like him on earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and shuns evil.
So this is like God is bragging, right? I mean, this is really clear to us that God is bragging here with Job, even though Job is not Jewish. But here, look at my servant Job, who is so blameless and fears me. So what does Bava Batra, Masha says on it?
And the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on earth, a perfect and upright man, one who fears God and turns away from evil? About this, Rabbi Yonahan says, that which is stated about Job is greater than that which is stated about Abraham. As with regard to Abraham, it is written, for now I know that you fear God. With regard to Job, it is written, a perfect and upright man, one who fears God and turns away from evil.
So what's the difference between Abraham and Job?
Turning away from evil.
Abraham, he had a test. God had to test him. And Job seems to be doing all this on his own without any test.
Nice. And also the addition there, that not only he fears God, he turns away from evil, which
Right.
Abraham was not exactly the perfect human being. We know that, right? With all his not disclosing the truth about his wife, supposedly his sister, and other things. He's had some things.
He's human.
Yes.
Rabbi?
Yes, Judy.
Using the word servant, is there any significance to that? He says, my servant Job. Or is that not really meaningful in itself?
Every word is meaningful in the text, as we know. So I think you might be right. The fact that this Rabbi Yochanan says, my servant God, right, indicates my servant God, or rather it says in the text. So he's so righteous, Job, that he's a true servant of God, just like the Malachim, just like the angels who serve God.
So
it made him maybe even more holy, or more of a believer, or more of a follower, if you want to say.
God, one of the epithets that we call God is jealous. Sometimes we say God is jealous. God constantly demands love and devotion, at least from the theological texts, right? God is, it's like
God has psychological problems.
That's right.
In this context, it's almost like Abraham is my child who has to live up to my expectations, but Job is above that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
family versus friends.
Yeah.
You get to pick your friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, God feels here that Job is definitely exhibits even more love in terms of the blind love, like not questioning, not the Abraham questioned the God here.
Or devoted.
Job doesn't question God. Okay. Can we move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Verse 9. I will have to finish exactly at 2 because we have I have a student, at 2, but we will pick up next week. So I will not send the new text again because we're going to continue study with this. There's, as you can see, there's so much. I don't know if we'll have enough time to finish Job even in 2 or 3 sessions, but I hope that you find Job interesting and okay with us continuing on Job.
Yeah.
Next couple
Yeah.
of sessions. Yes.
Job is a tough nut to crack.
Very nice.
Yeah. Yes. Claudia, by the way, I'm so grateful you bring so much. All of you guys, you're an incredible group. Everyone is so knowledgeable, and but Claudia, you certainly have a great amount of knowledge that you have acquired, and definitely your curiosity and constantly going back to then check on the sources. I really thank you for contributing so much.
Why is she hitting up?
I always worry that I talk too much and
No, don't worry.
tearing off down side alleys.
I can always stop you. You know, I don't have a problem with that. So, yeah,
Thank you.
you're doing great. Okay, who wants to read verse 9?
I'll read it. I'll
Okay.
read
Okay, go ahead, Bob.
it. Why? It is you who have fenced him round, him and his household, and all that he has.
Wait, Bob, we're on verse 9. Look at the screen.
Oh, I thought you were on.
No, look at the screen.
The adversary answered the Lord, does Job not have good reason to fear God? In Bava Batra, the Gemara continues to clarify the verses concerning Job. Then the Satan answered the Lord and said, does Job fear God for naught? Have you not made a hedge about him and about his house and about all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his cattle is increased in the land. What is meant by, you have blessed the work of his hands? Rabbi Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak says, anyone who took a paruta from Job was blessed. Not only was Job's own handiwork blessed, but anybody who received anything from him was also blessed.
Now, peruta is like Ilana, it's a coin, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's the matbeh.
Smallest amount.
Most amount, yeah. So in other words, again, compared to Abraham, who was like one of you said, human, Job truly is so wonderfully righteous that anything that he touches like becomes righteous, and people want to be near him because he is such a good person. That's how I read it. What about you?
Yeah, it's like people who want to be near someone they think is lucky, and they feel the luck will with them.
I like this, Arlene. That's excellent. Yes, also because he's so lucky, because they feel that the God truly blessed him, and so they want to be near something that is blessed. I mean, wouldn't we want to hang out next with a person that has a good luck and feels like been touched by God, as we say?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Very nice. I think it's a nice conclusion for today's session. Awesome turnout. Thank you so much. Wait, hold on. Let me stop sharing screen so I can see all of you. Yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people today. Yay. Good job.
Yeah.
So
And tonight you've got the Tish B'Av.
yeah, I hope everyone comes back. We're going to read Lamentations and talk about the misfortunes that befell Jewish people. So thank you everyone for joining, and Judy, welcome again.
Thank you.
Thank
Hope
you.
you enjoy the rest of your day. I don't know if you will be fasting. If you are planning on fasting for the Shabbat, easy fast, Tom Kal. And I will see you hopefully tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care,
Have a good
everybody.
day. Everyone have a good day and stay safe, everybody.
Yeah, you too.
Trying to.